we have with us a collection of Boy Scouts, a basket of Scouts. And we're going to ask one of them to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to open up our meeting. Or actually, I guess two of them. Or three of them. We have a trio of people.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that's rude. I know it is.
That's
Just
liberty.
in case anyone
That's
missed
liberty calling.
Saying very good.
Now, who are the young gentlemen that just led us? If we could have their names? Would you guys like to stand up and tell us what your names are? Anthony Capoletti.
Tyler Dillon.
What's your first name?
Dillon.
Tyler Dillon. A great name. And who else? What's your name? Christopher Capoletti. A couple of Capolettis. A couple of Capolettis and a Dillon. Okay, thank you very much, boys.
I like it, two Italians.
I need to announce that the meeting is being recorded and televised by the local cable company. And we'll start the meeting with a moment of silence, and we obviously want to keep in our thoughts and prayers the families of those 5 young people who were killed in the car crash in Middleborough last night.
What's the sound?
It was the sound of silence. I'd like to have a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum. Now is the time for anyone in the audience to speak up or want to speak up about something that's not on the agenda. Approval of meeting minutes, open session September 27th, 2016.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
New business. Act on the resignation of Robert Titterington from the position of member of the Council on Aging effective October 1st, 2016.
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Take action to appoint Thomas Ford to the position of member of the Council on Aging for a 3-year term through June 30th, 2019 in order to fill an existing vacancy.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Take action on net metering 20-year contract proposal. Frank?
Yes, I have been meeting with a couple of companies with respect to entering into a net metering agreement that would give the town a significant discount on the purchase of energy. I would ask at this point that the board authorize me to enter into a net metering agreement once I've reached acceptable terms with a provider. We have some proposals on hand now, and we've had substantial edits to the contract, but there are still some concerns I have about how it's priced and whether or not there may be other net metering options. So I'd like the authority to enter into an agreement, but not necessarily this one at this time.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does anyone have any questions? of
Yeah, Frank, is 20 years, is that standard?
20 years is industry standard. The one that was presented to me was a 20-year
Long time.
contract with 2 5-year extensions exercisable by the seller only. I've rejected that clause. But
It's not going to mean much to me in 20 years.
exactly.
Not for
But
us.
we do have an organization that's planning to install solar panels in Whitman on Bedford Street, and there may be a more advantageous relationship there, so I want to pursue all of them in order to get the best contract for the town.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I know we had some presentation a while back from was that a company that's still in the mix to do this electricity lower rate?
That was the aggregate electric proposal, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
That's
everybody was in, and
Yeah,
you'd have to opt out.
that has nothing to do with this. That's direct to the residents of the town of Whitman.
Okay, now do they have to opt-in, or is it automatic and they opt out?
It's automatic and they opt out, but I haven't seen anything yet on that. So I don't believe it's in effect yet.
Okay. Okay.
But this is separate from that. This is strictly for municipal power consumption.
Okay.
Okay, hearing nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
Act on a reserve fund transfer request for additional $1,500 for the Veterans Day Parade.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the following motion. Resolved that in connection with the vote of the Board of Selectmen on September 13th, 2016, to authorize the sale by auction of the property located at 35 East Avenue, Whitman, Mass., and the authorization of the town administrator to sign a contract between the town of Whitman and Paul E. Saperstein Company, Incorporated, to conduct said sale. The Board of Selectmen confirms the authority of the town administrator to sign the memorandum of sale for said property, and further authorizes the town administrator to sign on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the town of Whitman any and all documents necessary to complete the sale and transfer of title to said property to the buyer.
So moved?
Second.
Frank, do you need to say anything about this?
Just that we hope to close tomorrow on a sale of $103,000.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business, continue hearing with respect to the status of the Class II auto dealer's license held by Diesel Trucks, David Federico, on the premises located at 575 Bedford Street.
Would you like us here?
I think probably up there might be better, because then other people will be able to hear you.
Good evening. Pamela Salpoglu for Diesel Trucks, Mr. Federico. Mr. Federico is here. Members of the selectmen, I have a copy of a proposed plot plan. It was prepared by Patrick Rosengrave. We just received it this evening, and I'm going to present to you two that I have edited, and I will give you several that are unedited at this point, but we'll work with the edited version. Mr. Rosengrave has confirmed that we can easily fit 59 spots on the property, and as you are aware, my client came in looking for 60. The proposal that he has made, I'm not sure why he did not take into account the discussion we had at the last hearing, but he clearly, I think, has made a pretty good plan. But my client would like to modify the plan slightly with reference to parking spaces 39, as I've drawn them, through 44 to go in the back along this stone wall. That would create a little bit more space for customers to turn around. And we would be eliminating spots 27 through 38 and moving them to the adjacent to the shed, if you can see that on my plan. But this proposal would give 4 parking spaces, and if we eliminated voluntarily spots 46 through 58, we would have exactly 45 spots,
Okay.
which is what I believe the board is looking for tonight. My client indicates to me that Mr. Rosengrave can get us this revised one within the next week or so to you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have Mr. Curran here? Bob, would you like to speak on behalf of the town? Your experiences with Mr. Federico over the last space of time?
Bob Curran, Building Commissioner. Just so you know, I was there today, and I met Mr. Federico on the site. There were 45 cars there, and there was some effort to clean up the area. Looked like the grass had been cut down and some of the weeds removed. But it's also important that I did go out, and I did take pictures. I don't know if you have copies of them. I think you have them on your iPads. I was out there on the 27th of September. There were 50 vehicles on the site, weeds growing through the pavement. Vehicles are not in approved parking layout, and site remains an eyesore. That was the note I made on September 27th.
Okay.
On September 6th, I was there and I took photos. Took pictures, 50 vehicles on site. Property appears as though it has not been maintained, office is closed. So, as a result of my inspection, it appears as nothing really has happened since the number of cars were reduced to 45 back a few months ago. There hasn't been any real activity. It looks like most of the vehicles, as I described in my inspection for today, it looks like most of the vehicles have been there for several months. So there's not a big exchange of the vehicles that are coming and going. So really, I don't have anything else to report except for today. It looked a lot better than it has.
Okay,
I haven't seen this site plan, and I can't really comment on it until I
okay.
spend some time. It looks like the
We would be eliminating.
handicap spot is located there. If the board were to approve this, I would recommend that
This is the revised.
the lot be kept exactly the way the layout shows, but I need some more time with this plan, just so
Okay,
you know.
all right, fair enough.
Can I
It was
take a copy
just
of this?
revised within the
Absolutely.
last half an hour probably, so.
Yes, and we just got it today. I
So
did-
you've just received it today, you've just
Correct.
revised it.
These here.
Our building inspector's gonna have to spend some time with it too.
So may I propose that Mr. Rosengrave provide us with the revised plan? I submit it to your offices. It does satisfy the town's need for 45 cars, and if that would be the case, then we could just eliminate a further hearing on this. My client would then agree to keep the cars in the layout as proposed by Mr. Rosengrave, as it will be submitted.
Okay, and we'd have to have some evidence that the cars are actually in those places, which would,
If this board is so inclined, I would recommend that the site plan get adjusted and the owner put the cars in those locations so that I can review that on the ground, and then we continue this hearing and see how it goes.
okay. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Yes, I do. Mr. Federico, and how many cars you have on lot 45?
45, yeah.
Out of all those vehicles, how many of those vehicles are for sale?
All of them.
How many vehicles will pass state inspection?
They're all gonna pass state inspection.
Every one of them will pass state. I'm looking at vehicles
I
here.
have to service them and then sell them. I mean, that's what the business is you,
No, what you are is you're selling vehicles,
yeah.
right? And what I'm looking at here are vehicles that I don't think are saleable because I don't think they'll pass state inspection.
They will,
I don't even know if they'll all start.
they'll be serviced before they're sold.
So you have vehicles on your lot that need to be serviced before you sell them. Is that what you're saying?
Doesn't it?
But they're being displayed as saleable
Doesn't every
items.
used car dealer have vehicles on their lot that need to be serviced before? I mean, that's what we do is we buy a used vehicle that needs service, we service the vehicle and sell them. That's what the
Anytime
business-
I've gone to buy a used car for either myself or my wife, I've gone and looked at the cars that were for sale, and I would take them for a ride, and then when they were done, we'd talk about what I thought needed to be done, whether cleaned up or a few dents taken care of, or if I saw something wrong with it, right? But they'd all be drivable, and none of them would have broken windows or flat tires. Is there any vehicle on your lot that has either a broken window or a flat tire?
I've repaired all of those since the last
Everyone's
time I've come
repaired.
in.
What did you do with all the other cars that were there that you had to
I'm
leave?
paying for, they're stored, and I'm paying for a storage facility at the moment. So I'm paying to store cars there, a customer comes up, I drive them to the storage place, they get turned off, they say no, and I lose a sale. They ask me, why are we driving to another location to look at a car?
I'm still seeing vehicles tucked away in the woods,
And they'll be
or
serviced.
where the wall is.
And they're all diesel trucks, and the engine alone's worth $2,500.
I don't care what the engine's worth. That's not
I'm saying it.
what I'm worried about is someone walks onto your lot and purchases a vehicle, right? And doesn't pass inspection.
Oh, it will.
And you said, well, hey, you bought the vehicle. We've had that situation before in Whitman. I don't want to see it again. And the way you display your vehicles, it's looked like that any vehicle that I walked in to try, that I'd be worried about if it would pass inspection.
Well,
That's just my opinion. I live right around the corner. I go by your place every day. You have made improvements. You've opened it up. You've eliminated a lot of the vehicles. The lot is wider, it's a little bit neater, but the product itself, I have a problem with, I'm sorry.
When
That's
I'm
my
gonna sell
opinion.
them all and then get newer vehicles, that's where I'm heading. I'm heading to get rid of the older vehicles and get newer ones.
And Mr. Salvucci, as you are aware, the car has to pass inspection. So my client is not going to permit a car that's not roadworthy to go to a customer. It will be serviced. We went through this last time as well. He will service them. He has made a number of sales. He's removed a lot of the vehicles that were not repairable or in a state of disrepair, and he's paying for that storage facility in an effort to make the lot look more pleasant. And I think he's achieved that.
Why were those other vehicles on the lot in the beginning?
Because when I came in, I had my last 8 copies of my dealer's license had no stipulations on the number of vehicles on the license. A lot of other licenses that I've had in other towns, I've never had a stipulation on the number of vehicles. That's what I was trying to explain from the beginning. The last 8 licenses that I had from the town of Whitman didn't have any limit of the number of vehicles at 52. There were no stipulations. If it said 52, then there would have only been 52 cars there. And I explained that when I first came in on the first meeting, that I wasn't there to deceive anybody by having 62 cars there instead of the 52 cars that were actually there, because I removed, I had no number on the license to work with. I brought in the 8 copies of the licenses that had absolutely no car limit stipulations on it. I wanted to make it clear to everybody that I wasn't trying to deceive the town, cheat the town, have more cars there than I should have. I had no idea it was 52 cars.
Frank, does the license that we give them, the yellow copy, does that have, do any of them have the list of vehicles on them?
Typically, when we prepare a license and the board votes on a limit, the number of vehicles that are permitted to be on display for sale are listed on that license. For whatever reason, this particular license did not have a number on it, and when it was renewed, the same language was used.
And Bob, again,
This is a conversation that we had the last time,
Yeah,
I think.
right.
So I don't want to continue
Okay.
listening to the same conversation.
okay.
So, does anyone else have anything they want to ask or say?
I would suggest that we go with Mr. Curran's proposal. Let him look at the plan, decipher it out. He's the expert, and then go with his recommendation after that. And I would suggest maybe we could just put this off or give him some time to look at the new plan.
Yeah, what appears to have to happen is for Bob to look at this plan, say it's okay. That would be the first thing I would think. And then the next step would be for you to move the vehicle to the places that you've amended, have it look like that, have Bob go back, look at it to make sure that that has happened. And then at that point,
Lot has to be covered, tarred.
but it,
Doesn't meet regulations, right, Bob? Then they have to be tarred, the lot?
No, it doesn't have to be blacktop, you just have to have a suitable surface.
Okay. Is it suitable surface for all around the area of sales of the vehicles?
I can make sure of that. In the back, it's gravel, but what happens is, as time goes on, weeds grow up through it. So he may have to scrape that down and put something more suitable. I'll work with him if you choose.
all right, this is taken, a long time already.
Yeah.
It seems like we might be close to a conclusion on it. Do you have any estimate as to how long you two need to work together to finish what's left?
Would that be sufficient for you?
I'm not sure if they're going to amend this plan, the site plan that's been presented tonight.
Right.
If they do, I would suggest they get that amended, present it to me, and then I will either approve it or deny it, or I can meet with you to
That would be
amend it
great.
with you.
Okay, that would be fair enough.
Yeah,
I would say a month.
A month. What would you say, Bob? A month?
so
Okay,
I think that's
mid-December.
more than a month.
all right, a month. Would someone like to make a motion that we allow business to keep being business and for another month as they go through this
I'll make
final
that motion that
reclamation project?
we extend it a month and have Mr. Curran work with the owner to get this all up to where it needs to be.
Okay, and the next time we come together, it should be shorter, because what will have happened is that Bob will have looked at it and said it's what it's supposed to be. if it's what it's supposed to be.
May I propose, to save time for the board as well, that if Mr. Curran signs off on it, that we not even attend a meeting? So
That sounds pretty good to me.
is that acceptable with you?
It does. It does.
Okay,
We'll
great.
wait for a report, wait for a report from Bob within 30 days. And then we'll take it from there.
Perfect.
You know, if things haven't happened according to Hoyle, we may have to have another meeting to do something nastier. But if everything turns out fine, then there's no need for another meeting. You're absolutely right.
Okay, great. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
3-1.
Frank, update on deficit spending for sewer force main repair.
We have completed the repairs for the force interceptor, and unfortunately, the cost was $243,000 approximately. We have obtained permission from the Department of Revenue to deficit spend for that repair, and the approval conditions that if we do not fund the repair from available funds in this fiscal year, it will have to be raised on the recap in fiscal 18. It is my intent to have an article on the special within the annual in May to transfer funds from sewer retained earnings to pay for that repair.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay. Around the board, Frank?
I have a couple of things.
Yay.
With the board's approval, we'd like to allow the Recreation Department to use the Grand Hall on December 10th for a Santa get-together for the youngsters in town. Went very well last year.
Are you going to be there?
Good?
Yes,
Good.
good.
Any, someone like to make a motion that we allow,
Santa, you
Santa.
make the motion.
Santa
I'll
and their
make that
lookalikes?
motion that that Santa shows up on the 10th.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's a motion to allow people to use a room to have Santa show up.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all those,
You know what I meant.
all those in favor?
Couldn't resist.
Ho, ho, ho.
We have, as a result of the new records law, met with various department heads, and I will be presenting a list of RAO's record access officers for appointment by this board at our next regular meeting, which I believe will be mid-November. And I'll explain the designations along with that list. The town will begin its personnel survey and assessment, a grant that we received from the Community Compact on November 9th. They'll be meeting with all of the employees, distributing inventory forms, and beginning an evaluation of job descriptions, positions, and comparable pay information. The town received yesterday $63,117 for that snowstorm known as February last year. Yep. Mass Department of Transportation, today we received from District 5 the acknowledgement of our request to establish a heavy vehicle exclusion zone on Washington Street. They have informed me that it's going to Boston for review and perhaps approval, so maybe by the end of the year we'll actually have an approved limit zone. The plus side of that is it'll cut down on those problems. The downside is they're now getting other requests for evaluation.
Where?
And Rayner Avenue, I know, Pleasant Street. We'll look at them and do evaluations.
For what? For heavy truck traffic on those
Yes.
streets? Really?
I don't know that there's that much of it, but we'll survey it.
Okay.
And then finally, as you know, we had a police sergeant retire several months ago, and Selectman Lambiase and I met with Chief Benton and Deputy Chief Hanlon and a transfer candidate, Justin E. Burns, and I would ask that the board vote to authorize a civil service transfer for Justin, who is currently working in Plimpton and hopefully will be coming to work for us in the next few weeks. Very impressive young man.
Is that B-Y-R-N-E-S or B-U-R?
B-U-R-N-S.
B-U-R-N-S.
I have a form for you to sign if the board agrees to do so.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Any questions of Frank or Scott?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's it for me.
Okay. Scott?
Nothing.
Dan?
Amazing as it may seem, nothing.
It's all right, I'll pick up the slack.
Okay, Santa, go ahead.
Just want to remind everybody that to get out and vote on November 8th, the hours are going to be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and early voting has started, and I believe it goes till November 4th for the early voting. And I think you can still absentee ballot as well.
How many times can you go through?
So I'm doing one of each, yeah.
An absentee and a regular.
The early voting, by the way, has well exceeded the turnout for the last regular town election
Yeah.
in a day and a half.
I think there's a lot of
500
people that
It's-
don't want to wait in lines.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
the traffic that's coming in just to early vote.
Yep, yep. But I just want to remind everybody, it's obviously a very important election, and we need as many people to chime in on this as we can. So there's many ways to vote, so please do it.
Vote as often as you.
Early and
as
often.
as you like. A couple of questions about this process. Number one, we talked a little bit earlier about the sealed envelopes. I voted early yesterday. And get the ballot. I fill it out like I normally do. The ballot is then folded up, placed in an envelope that I sign, has my name on it and I sign, so that they can see that, they can check me off in the register as having finished my voting. On the day, whenever it is opened, whoever opens it knows how I voted, if he or she decides to
Glance.
glance.
So much for secret ballot.
Exactly, it's just something that struck me. The other thing that struck me is there a I should maybe know this, but I don't. Is there a regulation about when votes have to be opened and counted?
That day,
The day of the election,
Is that a law?
and,
I
yes,
believe it is.
yes.
and they are opened and fed into the
Right.
machine
Appropriate precinct.
in the appropriate precinct to count the votes. They do that at a time when they don't have heavy voting, because the folded ballots sometimes tend to
Comes as
jam
jam.
Right.
the machine.
So actually, this election, if there are, and there are a number of states that are doing early voting, a number of cities have seen a lot of people, and towns have seen people take advantage of early voting. So what it's going to mean is that the final numbers are going to take a while.
Yep.
Oh,
On
absolutely.
election night, or the next morning, or whatever, to get recorded.
I wouldn't expect to see a printout 15 minutes after the
Yeah.
polls close.
Yeah.
Right. I talked to Dawn, town clerk, about that, and she said that she expects the final count to be around 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Well, that's not bad.
You know, if we want, and she also said that if we wanted to, the room will be open, but lines will be drawn where if people want to stay there and watch them do what they have to do, I mean, you can, she said. Just like when I had.
To
we had-
watch people count the ballots?
Well, no, not count, but the process. But you have to stay away, a certain distance away.
I wouldn't mind having the refreshment counter for that. Sell popcorn and coffee.
We do it on
Wieners.
November 12th.
Yeah.
It worked out just fine.
Frank, basically what they did when they did with my election, remember? When I won by the one vote and it was challenged, and people were able to sit there and watch.
Hanging
Well,
chair.
that was a recount.
Hanging chair.
That was, right. But basically, she said that the door would be open if we wanted to. And I said, well, not
It's a
really.
nice invitation. just
I
wonder how many
figure,
people
I figure
will
Venus for a peach and then come back and listen to what
take
the
advantage of that.
results are.
Okay, I think we're ready to
Yeah, let's go.
finish that conversation before we start getting fresh about it. We need to go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exception 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
So moved?
Second, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and we will return in open session only to adjourn.